The last concept we're going to cover in this unit is elasticity. And there are two kinds of elasticity: elasticity of demand and elasticity of supply. We're going to focus on elasticity of demand because that's what's going to be on the test, and that's the one that's most commonly seen in our day-to-day lives. Elasticity basically means how much does quantity demanded change if price changes. So we already know that the law of demand says that if price goes up, quantity demanded goes down, and if price goes down, quantity demanded goes up. And that makes sense because if things are cheaper, people buy more of them, and if things are more expensive, people buy less of them. But elasticity of demand talks about how much that quantity changes. So an elastic demand means that quantity demanded changes a lot when price changes. So for a product, if the price is raised, people buy a lot less of it. And if the price goes lower, people buy a lot more of it. That's still the law of demand, but this talks about a lot of change happening. Inelastic demand talks about quantity demanded changing very little when price changes. So if on a product the price goes up, people buy a little bit less, but about the same amount. Or if price goes down, people buy a little bit more, but still about the same amount. So elastic and inelastic are just talking about how much quantity changes when price changes. Another way to think about it is by thinking about why they use the terms elastic and inelastic to begin with. Think about elastic demand kind of like a rubber band, and inelastic demand kind of like a metal chain. Elastic demand means that if price changes, quantity demanded changes a lot, like stretching a rubber band. So if something gets cheaper, the quantity demanded goes way up. And if something gets more expensive, quantity demanded goes way down. Inelastic demand, on the other hand, says that if price changes, quantity demanded stays about the same, like trying to stretch a metal chain. It's just not going to move very much. So if the price goes up, quantity demanded, people buy still about the same amount, or if price goes down, people buy about the same amount. So let's look at some examples of elasticity. We'll look at 4 different products: toothpaste, candy bars, insulin, and Mountain Dew. And the differences between these products you can kind of see already. Toothpaste, we all need to use some toothpaste, otherwise we'll get cavities. Candy bars, we can survive without them, but we like them. Insulin, people with diabetes can't survive without insulin, so they need an exact amount every month, say, or every week. And Mountain Dew, also like candy bars, something that we like, but we don't need. So let's look at what happens to the quantities demanded when price changes. And we're talking about how much an individual would buy in a given month, say. So toothpaste, we can see that if it's $1.50, they'd probably buy maybe 2 tubes of toothpaste a month. They'd use plenty of it. They wouldn't have to worry about it because it's relatively cheap. But if the price goes up to $3, then they might start using a little bit less toothpaste and they'd only buy 1 tube a month. But if the price went up to $6, they'd still need to buy 1 tube a month because they need to use toothpaste to clean their teeth. Candy bars, on the other hand, if maybe they're king-size candy bars, at $1.50 per candy bar, this individual would buy 6 in a month. But if the price doubles to $3, they would only buy 2. And if they go up to $6, they're thinking to themselves, I don't even need candy bars that much. It's not worth $6, so I won't buy any. Quantity demanded goes down to 0. Insulin, however, stays constant. No matter the price, they need exactly that amount of insulin every month to survive. So if the price is $1.50, great, we're saving some money. We don't have to spend as much, but we still need 5. And if it's all the way up to $6, well, that kind of stinks. It's more expensive, but I got to buy it because I need it to survive. Mountain Dew is like candy bars in that if it's cheap, we'll buy a lot of it because we like it. But if it's expensive, then we won't buy it. We'll just drink something else instead. So all of these kind of make sense to us intuitively. But right now, I want you to try to decide, given the definitions of elastic and inelastic, which of these products have elastic demand and which of them have inelastic demand. We'll take a couple of minutes and I want you to write down in your notebooks for each one whether you think it has elastic demand or whether it has inelastic demand.